and I don't mind talking shit about Russell.
Yeah.
A lot of the Russell Peters joke thievery things, I don't want to make it as simple as I'll present evidence for whether or not Russell Peters probably steals jokes and evidence against it. I'll go against it first.
Yeah.
Just to give you the benefit of the doubt off the hop.
Oh.
Have I ever told you my interactions with Russell Peters?
No, he used to tell me he used to like ask you to masturbate in front of. He was
honestly,
want to masturbate in front of you.
Like the vibe wasn't that far off.
Oh, okay.
So
Louis C.K.
The first time I was at JFL and I'm hanging out with there's a little group of us, but one of the group is now since passed Kathleen McGee. I don't know if you ever got to meet Kathleen. Funny girl.
Yeah.
Kathleen, and this is not to speak ill of the dead, she was a good time and you knew what you were getting into and you could just thwart her. But my theory is in comedy, any girl over 200 pounds is a rapist. The way that they look at us, like whatever, like once they reach a certain like size, they just start raping in comedy, these girls. And Kathleen was no different. And she'd grab your fucking junk or something on if you were working with her for the weekend, test the waters, But we were with her, and we run into Russell on the street on St. Catharines in Montreal, the main drag.
Sure. Yeah.
And she had just opened for him, and so he was like, "Oh, why don't I come? I'll buy you some shoes." So we go into a Champs. It's like 5 of us, and Russell and his like 2-person kind of entourage guys that are with him, and he's like showing shoes to Kathleen and whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And we're kind of like awkwardly standing off on the side because I don't know him and like we don't have like an in.
That type of relationship.
So at a certain point, we just kind of was like, we're gonna get going. Like you catch up with us after Kathleen, like letting her have like you're with Russell Peters.
Yeah,
Let's just let you can buy you the whole store and we'll get the fuck out of here, whatever. And on the way out, as we were leaving, Russell was like, "What? You don't want any shoes?" And I just like, I was something about like I was young.
Did he feel annoyed? Like, what's the? Did he do it the way you just did it? Is my question.
It felt like, listen, in my recollection, it was very dismissive. Okay. I didn't take it well at all. I was outside, like having to be calmed down to not go back inside and say some shit to Russell Peters.
Yeah.
Which is all young arrogance. In retrospect, I'll take some fucking shoes. Like, what do I need to prove? Like, whatever. Yeah, you fucking play arenas. Buy me some shoes. At the time I took it bad. Then the next time I had an interaction with him, I was hosting Roast Battle in Toronto. Mm-hmm. And we had a roast battle one night and it just so happened that night Rogan was in town. Big J was opening for him. And so obviously my in would be Jay on this. And so Jay was going to come judge roast battle regardless after he opened for Rogan. He just so happened to tell Rogan that he was coming. Rogan decides to come. Turns out last minute they got Russell Peters to host that show. So then Russell also comes. So Russell, Joe Rogan, and Big J come to judge the roast battle hosting, whatever.
Okay.
Which I always felt bad for the comics involved. Because a lot of them ate shit because of the pressure and the whatever of the situation. And Russell, which I'll get to. But always felt bad for them in that they thought they were just coming. It was literally at the side room of Comedy Bar, like a 45-person room, no expectations, and then fucking Rogan's there. But he did make early Rochelle Lozon. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
She had like a bajillion Twitter followers because from that battle, Rogan like tweeted her name out or something about the battle and like fucking crazy.
Yeah, actually, I kind of remember seeing her do a couple roast shows.
Yeah. She wasn't bad. I think it was her and Andrew Barr had like a good battle. But what was happening was, there's 2 levels to this. So I had headlined a show just before it in the same space. Some girl that found me attractive or funny, whatever, stayed through the shows. Russell was hitting on this girl in between shows, and she was not like showing. I don't know if she just didn't know who Russell Peters was, or like what it was, but she was not showing him interest, and that you could tell was the initiation of us. Not like that was the thing that started it. But then when the show starts, the format of roast battle is you do a round and then the judges interject after the round is done.
Sure.
He was just interjecting after every joke. It was fucking up the entire flow of the fucking show. And I had to keep being like, Russell, you got to stop. Like I had to like put Russell Peters in his place during the show to not ruin the show. And then Rogan started getting like, hey, that's Russell Peters. Like now like the host is against the judge. It was it was a real mess that it fucking created for me on that night when it could have just been fun. But that's because so the shoe thing, Russell has an aggressive foot fetish. He has like a whole, it's a thing that people always mention in passing with him that like, oh, he has like a whole room in his house for shoes.
Okay.
He sure does.
It's not just being cool.
And I bet you it's the first room he shows everybody. I bet you it's his favorite room.
Okay. Yeah.
By the way,
Quentin, hey, look, that doesn't make him a bad guy. Quentin Tarantino loves feet.
I'm not saying you can't love feet.
You
know? I'm just saying what's fun into the Canadian comedy trickling is who's another comedian that's famous for knowing Russell pretty well. Who would you? What black one name comedian?
Context. I didn't know that he knew him that well because the ones I know who knew him that well was Ron Jossel. I think was close with him, and then was Jean Paul.
Yeah.
But I know what you're suggesting.
Tricks.
Yeah.
Tricks.
But I didn't know he knew him.
Also, have you ever heard the beginning of Hotline Bling?
I'm not a big Drake fan, so
in the beginning, if you watch the video when you get home tonight, there are phone sex operators at the beginning of the music video, right? Listen to what they're talking about.
You're kidding. It's about that?
It's a little fucking circular. And now with Drake, I almost imagine it's like Drake's probably fucked so much that like feet are like he's probably had to do some pretty weird things to maintain interest. So like I'll kind of let that one. Drake kind of gets a little bit of a pass on that.
Yeah.
But if you do think of them in sort of this 3-person network, now all of a sudden you've got like a little thing there, a little foot cabal.
I would love to find out it's more of anyone famous from Toronto loves feet, and it's just a weird
thing that
coincidence.
Like, maybe that's our Epstein. Maybe to be famous in Toronto, you have to do weird foot shit.
There's Jerry D, maybe. Let's ask him.
Yeah. The Trailer Park Boys just sniffing boots.
Yeah. Well, they're Nova Scotians or whatever they're from. They're maritime. The Trailer Park Boys?
Yeah. That's Canada.
No,
you're saying strictly Toronto fame.
Which I guess also.
So Kenny and Spenny.
Yeah.
Kenny and Spenny would be.
By the way, you mentioned him recently. I saw Kenny in an interview. He was podcasting or whatever. Not his, but like.
Yeah, he was.
They come off, something about them that comes off less Toronto. Maybe it's because they're so, and I mean this with love, Jewy.
It's possible.
Yeah. I remember you used to watch a show and you see Toronto things everywhere. It's a very Toronto show.
Yeah, well, I was going to say none of those people I just said were Jewish, but Drake is half Jewish. So
that's right. Correct. Don't forget it.
Yeah, do not forget it.
Yeah. But maybe a Toronto fame thing.
Yeah.
Anyone popularized, because I know Russell is not technically from Toronto.
But I mean, we got to cast a pretty wide net.
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to do? We're going to lose Jesse Reyes? I think Jesse Reyes is in the feet.
No, I'm going for anyone famous and a connection to Toronto. So, like, even if we found out Roberto Alomar loved feet.
John Olerud was hiding pictures of feet under that fucking cap the entire time. Not to. I don't know. I've kept you here too long, so we won't do a Rob Loves Basketball this week.
Okay.
But I was devastated because the fucking Kawhi trade is being held up now because of the investigation.
Oh, no, I don't even know about that.
So Kawhi was the Clippers, his former team, maybe his current team technically right now, were under investigation for circumventing the salary cap. So
I remember his uncle got a salary or some shit like that.
Well, his uncle is slimy as fuck.
Okay,
but also when your father's murdered when you're 15, your uncle's going to have an outsourced influence. Kawhi's father murdered at a car wash. It was a car wash jacking.
At the car wash.
Yeah. So that trade's being held up because the investigation's not done, and now this could work out either really good for the Raptors or really bad for the Raptors. Either the trade will just get squashed, which would be very bad because now we're going to have a slighted Brandon Ingram back on the team. And he's already heard the podcast from last week where I talk about how much I don't like him.
Yeah.
So he's got to deal with that. And then we'll get the draft picks back, but the best case scenario is the Clippers are punished. What probably is going to happen is Kawhi's going to get suspended. The Clippers will have to like relegate one of those picks back to us maybe, which would be great. And then if Kawhi has to sit out like 50 games, honestly, fuck it. That's chill. Let him hang out to the playoffs and then
50 games. Yeah. But that's if we get to the playoffs without a superstar.
We'll be all right. First of all, Scotty is a top 15 player in the league at this point. He's okay to get us to the playoffs. And like, honestly, I hate Brandon Ingram to the point where I believe that's an addition by subtraction in the first place.
Oh, off the team, no matter what.
It's like when we traded Rudy Gay, probably like 15 years ago. We had Rudy Gay, and he was our leading scorer. But the second we traded Rudy Gay for almost nothing, everything got better because he was like gumming up the works for everybody else.
So I don't think that's an impossibility. When it comes to sports, is even if someone is the best player, you know who they used to say this kind of about? Is Carmelo.
Carmelo had a bad reputation for that.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's necessarily fair of Carmelo. Like when you look back on his statistics and like analytics, they weren't as bad as like you'd think they were for a guy like that. Like technically Allen Iverson was the worst that way. Like everyone looks at like Allen Iverson's teams and goes like, man, nobody did more with less than Allen Iverson. But there's an argument to be made that it was because Allen Iverson was making everyone around him less. Like Allen Iverson was just the most interesting singular talent in that ability to just take it on himself and do it all of himself that we hadn't seen, but he actually did make everyone around him worse.
And I don't even... do you think the whole making someone worse is not that they're shooting worse or something like that, but when you have a ball hog, you just go, what am I doing?
Listen, I play enough pickup basketball to know that there are times when there's a guy on my team, and within the first little bit, I get the sense I'm not getting any touches from this guy.
Yeah.
Like he's never passing me this ball. So there's two things you could do. You could stand around and sulk, which, by the way, a lot of the NBA will do, ultimately. It's another frozen beer on Neil. A lot of the NBA will just stand around and sulk. What Allen Iverson did have around him was a bunch of guys willing to do what you have to do otherwise to succeed.
Yeah.
That's why those teams were kind of okay. Eric Snow is point guard, great 3-and-D guard who was perfectly fine getting 4 points a game, but doing all the other shit. You needed like those guys around him exclusively to succeed. Like if I'm on the court and no one's going to pass to me, okay, so I set screens, I play harder on defense because I can just save my energy on offense. I
find a new role.
I'm usually, because I'm heavier than a lot of the guys, even though I'm not that tall, I'll usually get put on a guy who's a bit taller and heavier. So if I can then drag him away from the basket, I can use my positioning to make the big guy that is a problem at the rim kind of get away. This is why the Knicks won the champion. And again, I got to stop soon or else this will be a round.
No, I forgot I have a basketball thing to bring up to you, but I'll let you finish this. And then...
it's why I don't believe I'm a homer in thinking that the Raptors could have... If this Kawhi thing is fine and we have the team we think we have, we could actually be competitive because the way to beat Wemby, who is going to be like the problem in the NBA, is you got to get him away from the basket. You got to play him small. You can't, even though he can shoot threes, whatever. Let him take threes. Have fun. If he's not standing next to the basket, you've won. He's 7'6", and he can dribble the basketball. If he's near the rim, it's going in. So you got to get him as far away from the rim as possible. Cat, one of the best three-point shooting bigs of all time, was the perfect guy to make him have to be dragged out.
Yeah.
Cat could drag him out there, and that's where he was mitigated on defense. So that's what you mean. So yes, people can make a team worse singularly on their own in basketball more than anything else. That's the smallest team. There's only 5 guys on the court. right? So like you can have your outsourced negative impact is way worse than any other sport. If you have a left fielder who plays shit defense, that only affects the fucking team when the balls hit the left field. The rest of the time, not everybody else is shittier because that guy's in left field.
So this will transition well to Rob loves arguing because it depends how you see this. This is either an argument between us that I have a recent opinion on, or we agree.
Okay.
I watched a video recently that argued that Shaq was not a good basketball, he was good, but not a great basketball player. One of the most overrated basketball players, because nothing in what is basketball he was good at. He was just good at what the term I learned is dislodging players, which is essentially committing offensive fouls that at the time of him being famous was allowed by refs.
Well, then first of all, what I will say is I hope the person who made that video also hates SGA, because you could easily argue that SGA takes advantage of the same idea of that rule today to shrug off of people to create distance.
I think that was the player that got brought up in the video of
yes.
He showed a clip of something that was happened recently, and that's what led to the conversation.
But so here's what I'll say.
Oh, because Shaq and Barkley got into an argument about that very thing with SGA. Yeah.
So now, one, I would have a different defense of whether or not Shaq was breaking certain rules. The reason I think Shaq is great, and my defense of Shaq will always be, the rules had to change because of Shaq. And I don't think that there's a better indicator of the impact a player had than the league literally needed to change the rules. It went from 5 into key to 3 into key because of Shaq. Because if he had 5 seconds to operate into key, if he could stand into key for 5 seconds and you could dump the ball to Shaq, he was probably going to score. So they changed it down to 3 into key to prevent big guys like that from being able to just post up and stay post up and operate from underneath the basket like that.
Right. The arguments against him being a great basketball player is name all the and I'm kind of getting, even though I like Shaq and I liked Shaq at the time, Shaq's play was the time where I was watching a lot of basketball and everything like that. Shaq, we all know, couldn't shoot. Couldn't shoot from any point. He didn't even really have a particularly good I have a hook shot or anything like that. He would get the ball in the paint and dunk it, and that's for the most part what he did. Which is only a result of him being tall. Couldn't shoot. I did not know this as much, but I was given the stats, which I do not remember. Wasn't particularly known as a great rebounder, despite his height.
Yeah, he still fell somewhere in he's still ultimately probably in the top 10 in blocks all time, if I had to guess. He just wasn't. Rebounds.
Well, I was going to get to blocks next.
Okay.
Is even Barkley and Shaq have a famous little video clip of them arguing that he
still
wasn't a known
fifth in the video of all time. That's actually what I was referencing. Is he called himself the greatest shot blocker, or he was he had the most block shots he claimed or something. Shaq is a little Hulk Hogan-y for sure.
Yeah.
Where things are a touch exaggerated in his head,
and he gets mad if you deny them.
The objective reality pisses him off.
Even at that time, one of my favorite basketball players of all time absolutely was a better shot blocker, and that's Big Ben Wallace.
Sure, but Ben Wallace probably wouldn't be as high on the all-time shot block list just because he didn't play as many.
No. But I remember in his main years, and also he was Defensive Player of the Year 2 or 3 times.
So Ben Wallace is a great person to bring up because I will use Ben Wallace as why this argument against Shaq is silly. Ben Wallace couldn't do any of those things either. Ben Wallace could do one thing, and that was block or disrupt shots.
Yeah. He was a better free throw shooter than Shaq.
Sure, but ultimately you weren't depending on Ben Wallace to shoot free throws.
Yeah, that's like saying you're better fucking in bed than a virgin.
But Ben Wallace was a guy who was singularly talented. Dennis Rodman, you could argue. Dennis Rodman couldn't shoot. Dennis Rodman could lay the basketball in. He could dunk if he would, but he wasn't like a dribble drive. I'm going to take it to the hoop dunker.
Fadeaway shooter.
Dennis Rodman had an uncanny ability to know where the ball was going to come off the rim. That was Dennis Rodman's gift. He could see where the ball made contact with the rim. He, for some reason, knew what the correct placement for his body was going to be when that ball came off the rim. Uncanny, like one of these gifts that it doesn't even come from anywhere. There's no way that he could have just, in practice, watched and something mechanically in his brain worked to know where the ball was going to come off the rim. And maybe nothing else worked about his brain other than that. But that worked. That can be true of a basketball player. Shaq's was that he could face up dunk on. Like, he had a turnaround. He had a face up, whatever. He had a singular skill, but he had an unbelievable singular skill. And he existed in a time in basketball where that was enough.
What is the skill?
He
was more muscular and larger than even the guys who were taller than him.
So Sean Bradley was 7'5". What did Sean Bradley have that career?
And also
but he still had a 5-foot advantage on almost everyone else in the league.
I think Shaq was coordinated and big.
Did you see early Shaq? Shaq in Orlando ran the court like Giannis did. Like, Shaq could move for a lot of Shaq's career.
I'm not even saying he's slow. I do think he's fast. Is like surprisingly fast so maybe agility is his ability, but not skill.
See, I think the thing is a lot of people remember Lakers and beyond Shaq. They don't take a lot of Orlando Shaq in. Orlando Shaq was a different basketball player than the guy who just got the ball and whatever. Shaq would dribble. Shaq was an active modern day basketball player for like 5-6 years.
So you're saying he realized it was unnecessary skills that he did not need.
Well, it just if he played the modern game, Shaq would have had to have kept himself in early Shaq shape. Shake Shack.
He had to have less.
He would have had less Shake Shack to succeed, but the rules dictated that was a more effective strategy at the time. Like, there is no Steph Curry beautiful ball without Shaq because that basketball came from the rules changing. Watch pre-2000s basketball. It's pretty hard to watch. Like, Jordan's era is pretty shit basketball, like, ultimately. Like, it's not that fun. It's tougher, I guess. It reminds me of this, what is the guy from Holland in the World Cup right now? Do you know what it is?
Oh, you were just, his name is oddly enough close to the word Holland. It's like Holland.
Holland. That guy's awesome, and like, I get it. Like, I get everything about what everyone loves about the dude. And like, you see highlights of him and you're like, fuck, can I watch soccer? Like, he's impressive. But then white nationalists have just all been
they've gone behind him.
Oh, look at what the Vikings are doing. Like, I love that every fucking dumpy white piece of shit guy in the world like wants to claim Vikings now. Like, that's you know how like all of our, like a big problem that my generation of white parents had was they all for some reason got told they were Native American in some part. And like, the Elizabeth Warren. Oh yeah, way back we're part Cherokee. That was just some shit that old people used to fucking say. Whatever. I feel like right wing, like white nationalisty people now are all just like, I'm a Viking. Oh, I did a DNA test. I'm 8% Viking. You know me. We usually just conquer the world. It's like, shut up.
Do you think we'll ever get to is there an area in the U.S., I think LA, or is that Koreans, where there's a lot of Japanese, where there'll be Japanese kids that will talk about being samurais?
Yeah, I mean, it is, first of all, it is California. And like, we come from Sam. Yeah, but it will. Yeah, but not probably here. Probably there. I bet you in Japan, there are a bunch of like right-wing kids who hate trans people but pretend to be samurais.
You know how, and it's funny, my girl has been rewatching, because it showed up on Netflix, Heroes, right?
Fun show.
Yeah, fun show. I forgot how soy boy, and I'm not one of these that believe in this term, but it is funny, soy boy cucky, Hiro Nakamura was the Jap, because he's all like, like whatever.
Yeah, he was very anime.
Definitely an almost racist stereotype that they wrote.
Well, I would say so, but like, have you met a Japanese person who's not like that?
Well, here's the thing. I listened to this whole I guess you could call it podcast or YouTube, whatever. This woman was explaining the change in Japan and why we now know Japanese things as very, even the men, very like metrosexual, like feminine or whatever. Whereas like they're like, did you forget? She was explaining like, did you forget that like when we were younger, when you were a kid, there was this idea of the hardened like Japanese businessman.
Yeah.
And apparently there was a known cultural shift in Japan because they realized that was a problem. And you've heard of like the suicide forest.
Yeah,
and all.
yeah.
They had a problem.
Yeah.
And they solved it with anime and childish nature things that became popular male culture. They made a concerted effort to change male culture, and they did. But now they have
went a little far.
They went a little far.
This is the kind of the problem that we're facing currently.
Yeah.
Is that everything feels a little too Japan now. And I don't mean just that we have their fucking stupid bullshit, whatever. That's for another episode. But like, man, we can't just like come to a nice center on anything. Like, it's gotta swing wildly in every direction. I mean, I have hope that this next little bit will be whatever. I'd like to, if the conservative grift thing would die out a little bit. Like, everyone just needs to come back to reasonable, like, what actually helps. Like, what we really need to do is just split everything up. And
you're just you're you over there.
You guys got to live there.
Yeah, we're
this is why I've just decided now, like, if you're telling me conservative, if you're being like super right-wing guy in Toronto, go fuck, you're gay. Like that, don't live here if you mean that. Like, don't enjoy all the things that come from our liberal society. Don't try to take advantage of it all and be here and then complain about it the entire time. Go live in the woods where you belong. Go do you thing. Go be that. You don't get to come play stand-up comedian in the city if you want to be that. Sorry, you have a family to raise. So, like, you got to go be a trad husband out in the woods cutting logs. Enough living in a condo, fucking, like, having, like, your social services, taking the subway, like the sports teams that we pay for through socialism, like all these things. No. You don't get to enjoy any of that anymore. You don't get to enjoy the Toronto Blue Jays. That's not for you. Who paid for that stadium? The city did. The taxpayers. If you don't want to be part of that, if you don't want to be taxed, then you go live in fucking like Oro Medonte and like enjoy the woods, and you can drive into the city, but there'll be a toll on the 400 when you come in at Vaughan. Then you will pay to be part of society.
Don't you think some of them would argue that these cities are now this, but they were, and I don't know if this is true, maybe it depends on the city, but that they were built on their conservative right-wing beliefs.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like those capitalism built Toronto, not...
Yeah, but they're not actually basing that off of like any ideas. They're basing that off of that was before, like, old. They get this idea that everything that predated them was conservative because by today's standards, it would be conservative. But it doesn't mean that the policy at that time was conservative. It just means it's older than it was today. So, like, no, you can't go, No, conservatives never made any of these cities. Like, what city was mostly run by conservatives? Like, or had a conservative population, would we say?
As far as I know, I could be wrong, but like I know when the U.S. shows those like red dots, and we even have it here, it's like there's whole seats and provinces that you'll say, oh, Ontario is mostly liberal city, but it's just because there's so many people in Toronto.
That's the point.
Yeah.
It's like any major city.
All the major cities
generally go that way, right? So like I'd be very interested to see if there's even one in North America that is.
Maybe.
Is there any city?
I'm going maybe Dallas or something, and I don't know anything about Dallas. But I'm picking a southern city.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there any city in North America with a population greater than 1 million?
Yeah.
That votes conservative rather than liberal, whether that means Democrats or Republicans or Canadian. We'll see about that. I would hazard a guess that there's not. I would also say, and I want to get to liberal drug policies and how it affects our city. Okay, Calgary.
Is there more than 1 million in Calgary?
1.4, so just barely.
Oh, they made
Oklahoma City. The 700,000 city proper, over 1.5 metro.
Yeah, but we're scraping the bottom.
Jacksonville. Yeah, this is my point.
Scraping the
you
bottom.
Have Calgary, Jacksonville. Yeah, it's like they're not. And by the way, go to Jacksonville and tell me it's nice because it's conservative.
And either way, and I learned this from a long time ago. I was listening to Opie and Anthony, and this is where I learned this. And you know this because you lived in the U.S. for a bit. My Canadian grown-up understanding of what is considered a city was wrong. And my best example that I give people is that when I was a kid, based on movies and mentions, I thought Pittsburgh was a legitimate city. And it's, as far as I've been told, a dump. You know?
Yeah, well, this
I'm
is
sure
how
it's
America
fun
works.
and nice.
America, every city is 1.5 miles of tourist attractions, and the rest is Honduras. It's all third world, aside from the part they want you to see.
Right.
Washington, D.C. has always been a hellhole outside of the fucking
stuff.
White House, all of these cities. Well, we were saying this on Goblin and Ogre, where it's like Detroit has gotten better. No, it hasn't. Everything got worse. And like everything got worse spread across beyond now. Like when they say these cities got worse, be very clear. What they mean is the parts that they like. Yeah. Like the parts they didn't go to remain exactly the same. They've always been that. There's always been that. But now the thing that they don't like shows up at the corner of the part that they use. And that's what they mean by it's gotten worse. They don't actually care that there's always been a hood. There's always been these neighborhoods. They don't give a shit. When it shows up in I don't want to say the white place because I hate being reductive on race to that degree because lots of these cities have lots of terribly poor white people. But like when it shows up to the place that's supposed to have money, that's when they complain. The reality is, and I'll address Integrity TO directly at this point. That's my Integrity TO alarm. Integrity TO, I don't know what his fucking name even is. I haven't gone that far even into him. But he's someone who kept popping up in my algorithm because he's one of these guys who will go to the corner of Queen and Bathurst and just videotape human suffering and go, look at what liberals did. Look at, now there's drug addicts because of liberals. Now, first of all, how long has Doug Ford been in charge of the province at this point? I'm not sure how long conservatives get to claim that Ontario's drug problems are liberal drug policies. Doesn't really actually make any fucking sense in the first place. You can decide to blame Olivia Chow all you want, but ultimately we haven't changed drug policies for the province in Ontario in Toronto. That's not how that works ultimately. But first of all of these same people, I guarantee you, if you scroll through the timeline of any of these Integrity TO type of right-wing grift fucking accounts on any of these on platforms, if you went back far enough, probably pre-Trump even, what you would find is that these were all the same people who advocated for these liberal drug policies. Like, do you know how many people from the weed movement I have seen become right-wing grifters?
Really?
Absolutely. The guy that ran Vapor Central, fucking Chris Goodwin, couldn't be a louder anti-vax, liberal drug policy. But it's like, but when it was weed, you were all, so you understood then, right? And when I say liberal drug policies, let's like clarify kind of what I'm even talking about, right? Like the clean injection sites, things like that. We'll say lax policing on it. We'll just put the decriminalization of certain drugs, the things. We'll call those liberal drug policies the things. Those were all things that amongst anyone under like 30 years old at that time were universally accepted. They had been tried places and they had worked. And they do work. Now, when we cross a line, I'll be very clear and fair to the conservatives. When I was in Vancouver and I saw that it had reached a point where they were giving away free drugs, that starts to get a little questionable to me. I wonder at some point when we're just enabling people's very slow suicides, like I think that becomes problematic to some degree. But clean injection sites, my question to somebody like Integrity TO would be, well, what's your plan? It's very easy to point a camera at people suffering and go, oh, that's somebody else's fault, or I don't like that, or that's unsightly. But I'm not interested in what you have to say until what you have to say has a plan attached to it. What's the alternative? Because I bet you there's going to be one of two things happen if you ask that question. There's either going to be a no answer at all, or the answer is going to be the same shit we got away from because that wasn't working, because the war on drugs wasn't working. So what is it? Do we go back to the war on drugs? Are we pretending like any of those policies actually helped in any way whatsoever? Because the data at the time was they didn't. Like, there's a reason we got away from them. We didn't get away from the war on drug policies because we just loved people suffering. Like, we didn't do it because we were like, oh, I love when there's people shitting on my fucking stoop and there's whatever. It wasn't like self-suicide. It was because these things have been put into practice and they worked well. And in these blue cities, things worked. They did. There's a reason why everyone will point to these being new problems. Well, okay, conservatives who are pointing to these new problems, let's actually put a graph up of how many of them are in relation to liberal drug policies, and let's put up how many of them are in relation to it being after COVID. Because ultimately what you're going to find is, find me the conservative cities not having drug problems. Are you trying to imply to me that in Florida, they don't have meth problems in Florida? That the fentanyl crisis hasn't hit West Virginia? Like, is that the argument that these red states are doing great with their drug policies?
Yeah, is that in Virginia? Where's the Appalachian?
That's West Virginia.
Yeah. That's supposed to be the worst.
Oh, no, they love liberal politics. That's their love of liberal politics up in West Virginia. Like, do you think Montana doesn't have drug problems? Do you think the Dakotas don't have meth problems and fentanyl problems?
Maybe that's the difference. Liberal drug addicts, fentanyl. Conservative drug addicts, meth. And maybe they're okay
opioids,
with that.
Man. They fucking started the opioid crisis. It was a lot of blue collar lads that fell off a fucking ladder and had to take some pills, and then they never got off them.
For sure, prescription pills leading towards
heroin, which eventually got to fentanyl. Like, that's where we arrived.
That's a conservative capitalist society, and I'm not against capitalism as an idea, but like, it is a result of that.
And by the way, do you want to know, when Trump says that we're contributing to the fentanyl crisis, he's not wrong. We're doing something in Canada we shouldn't be doing. We allow the markers into the country, the things that are used to then create fentanyl, we allow into the country. America does not. That was the government, the nanny state, getting in the way of liberal drug policy, getting in the way of the fentanyl crisis. You can no longer, because you could buy, basically, you were never obviously allowed to just buy fentanyl, but you were allowed to buy the stuff that they used to make fentanyl do what they wanted to do. Street names are like Tren, things like that. Yeah. Those things you can buy them from Canada. So when Trump says that a certain amount of the fentanyl is coming from Canada, that was a big talking point at the beginning of the tariffs. What he means, if he could articulate it properly, was that we allow the markers to come into the country. They smuggle that stuff from us. So that actually is something that we should be changing, that we're not changing. But that's liberal drug policy. No, the government stepping in and stopping something and changing the rules, that's liberal. That's what liberal means. The idea of conservatism is the government doesn't get involved. So what you're asking for is not conservative ideas.
Yeah.
Like, conservative ideas is they're drug addicts. If they do anything that we don't like, we'll arrest them. If not, then they just get to do that because we shouldn't get involved. Like, that's what's conservative. Liberal is getting involved. Like, liberal is we do things. Now, you might say the things we're doing currently are creating worse problems, but what is the solution? We have these drug addicts.
I have a little pushback on that, is not on that, but the thing you said earlier, which is I don't want, if you're going to say something like that, then come with a solution. Like, don't just, whoever the Tenegricon guy or whatever. I think your issue is with his shitty attitude. I assume he has, because I haven't watched his videos, but I'm assuming he has a shitty fucking shit-eating grin that he has. Because I think if you take a documentary filmmaker, if he does like look at Skid Row in LA or whatever, and he says, I don't know what the answer is, but I know something is not.
Yeah, but treat them like humans.
And then if he stops like that, I don't think that would bother you. So I'm taking
an Andrew Callahan Channel 5 approach to it.
Sure, yeah. I think your issue is the shit-eating grin of like, see, liberal policy.
And just like, okay, but then talk to them then. And if that's the answer they give you, then great, roll with it. But you're not allowed to just take a picture of people suffering and go, oh, well, this picture means that I'm right. You don't know that. Nothing about the amount of human suffering on that corner proves or disproves your point. It doesn't until you have a point, until you have a solution, until you went, hey, at another time when we were having this problem, we did X, Y, and Z, and look what that did. Because, like, honestly, the answer's what? Asylums? Well, who shut down the asylums? Was it liberals that shut down the asylums, or was it conservatives who shut down the asylums? Yeah. Like, we didn't do that. So is that the solution then? You want asylums back for these people? Guess what that is? Liberal drug policy. Like, you don't even know what you're talking about. And then once we have asylums, you're going to point at the asylum in 5 years and go, do you know how much we spend on that to keep fucking crazy people inside? That's what you'll say.
Is that true, though? Because I do know there is a conservative, whatever, rumor, belief, asylums. Whatever, is that, yeah, well, no, it's that liberals closed to them because they thought, oh, they're being taken. Like, that's definitely,
that's
people
just some
sell
shit that people say now.
Yeah.
No, who do you think shut down the fucking asylums? The people who love shutting down social programs, or the people who love social programs? Who do you think ultimately did that?
Yeah.
No, of course. And by the way, this is what they do to every institution. They go, oh, well, it's terrible now. Well, yes, because you defunded it into oblivion.
Right.
Are the services not as good right now? Are we getting pileups in front of the remaining harm reduction centers? Of course we are. How many harm reduction centers have we lost in the last few years? 7 into downtown. We've had 7 shut down. So you're saying the problem's getting worse, Integrity TO, but we have shut down 7 of these centers. So are you not then saying that your own argument is defeated? Because the more they get shut down, the more there's been. We all have to go post-COVID. This is not some fucking, you get to use 1992 as your marker. You don't. You don't get to use 2002. You don't get to use 2012. This is 2020 and beyond, because it's a new fucking world. We did a thing to people we've never done before. Drug courts in America were shut down for the entirety of COVID, meaning anybody that previously was getting drug tested to make sure they stayed off drugs while they were on probation, they were awaiting a trial, anything like that. All of that was shut down. How many people do you think relapsed in that amount of time when drug court was shut down? And that was not liberal drug policy. Again, if the conservatives want to score a point on this, they could go, we never should have shut the world down for COVID. If you want that pat on the back, I will give it to you. We shouldn't have shut the world down for 2 years during COVID. It was a fucking mistake. And until we apologize for it, we'll never make any of this shit right. It is the number one thing that needs to happen in this society, is that liberal people need to go, hey man, listen, we were doing this not because we're an evil cabal, but because we genuinely thought it was the right thing to do at the time. We may have overstepped. We may have had unintended consequences that we will now then go, hey, that's on us. The same way that we make conservatives have to be responsible for Jim Crow and all sorts of other shit that we didn't like historically. Now's our time as liberals to go, this one's on us. That is absolutely something that should happen. But we then have to go, that is your reparations, conservatives. We will go, hey, we fucked up. We overstepped. This is your apology. This is our land acknowledgement to you. We shouldn't have shut the world down for 2 years. We shouldn't have done nothing. We shouldn't have tried to figure out what was going on. We shouldn't have been. We should have been reasonable, but we overstepped and we did too much. But now, when we look at what's happened, when we look at the deaths of despair, like it's funny that people who are anti-vax, and I'm very on the middle in the vaccine, but they will always point to, and I love Jimmy Dore, but he'll do this all the time because he's very anti-vax. We'll go, here's the excess deaths since, right? Because the claim is that the vaccine has been killing an excess amount of people through myocarditis or whatever. The reason for excess death is we changed the way millions of people lived, like whether they became sedentary, they stopped leaving, they stopped exercising, they changed the way they lived, they started having things delivered, they stopped whatever. Of course, we killed more people. We made terrible habits that were going to lead to death. And some of those habits were drug habits. Some of the things that they gained through COVID was a new drug problem that they didn't have previously. That's some of the excess death. Is it some vaccines? I don't fucking know. I'm not here to argue that. I'm not a scientist. Maybe it is. But a lot of it was we created shit habits for people and it caused them to lose lots of years on their life. Lots of years.
There's a part of me that thinks, yes, there's things we can do, drug policy wise, all this kind of stuff that can improve things. But I'm getting more and more into, like, I do think we have a cultural problem in certain cities or small towns or West Virginia. Maybe it's a North American culture thing or something that allows for, like, drug problems. And what I mean is not meaning like, oh, we're all this. I'm saying cultural, but I mean like...
We have a community problem.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, something.
We have a community problem, and it's a lack of community. It's the fact that, like, it used to be that if you had a drug... And that's why the cities are disproportionately affected. Or at least that we pretend they are, in a way, right? Because in this city, you'll film a bunch of drug addicts on a corner, right? And the anonymity of those drug addicts, the various walks of life they come from, you're detached from those people. But when you see those same people in a small town, and you do, go to North Bay, go to fucking Barrie, go to Timmins, go to any of these places, you will see, but per capita, more drug addicts on the corner than you will in a major city. But you have an attachment to those drug addicts. Those drug addicts feel like consequence.
Yeah.
When your community is smaller, it's like, damn, that feels like a direct safety threat to me now, right? That is way more. It's so much easier to dismiss people in a city like this and go, oh, well, that's someone else's kid, that's someone else's neighbor, right? Someone else went to school with that kid when they were younger. Somebody else went to. When you went to school with that homeless guy, that's different. You go, that's fucking John. That kid was bright when he was younger. That kid had a future, and look where he is now. It affects you on a personal level beyond that. So what Integrity TO should be doing is go interview those fucking homeless people. Tell their story. If you're so interested in the suffering of these people, find out where the suffering of these people came from. There are disposed people everywhere in this city. No family, no friends. What are they going to do? Like, why am I so worried about Charlie Paradise all the time? He has a family, but he lies to them. They think he's doing fine, right? So no one's going to intervene on his behalf. His friends all kept at a distance enough. If he becomes too much of a problem, we have to distance ourselves. There's nobody there. So one day, what happens if his dad dies? Now what? Charlie's just a lost fucking guy. And like, how many hundreds of people in this city are just lost fucking people? And so, like, You can point to their suffering and go, whatever, and get yourself a nice following from it of going, hey, look at that. And then you intersplice fucking Olivia dancing somewhere or eating at Sneaky D's, which is like, what are you, anti-Sneaky D's, you fucking scoundrel? Like what a tone deaf thing to include her eating at Sneaky D's. Literally the community that you're like trying to represent in these videos all are thrilled that Sneaky D's survived. The fact that the mayor cared enough about a cultural landmark like Sneaky D's to like go eat there as a showing of solidarity. It's like the thing I've hated the least about Olivia Chow in 2 years. Like,
well, you do love Sneaky D's.
Sneaky D's is a fucking institution in this city, and things like that should matter. Like, what do people know about Rochester, New York? They know the garbage plate.
Yeah, I've had it.
This shit matters. Like that's what I'm talking about is community. You want to see what community felt like in the city of Toronto for a brief minute. Sneaky D's was an example of it. Like, this shit matters and it makes you feel closer to people. This is why getting away from church was bad. Because again, you might have went to church with that homeless person. Like, and maybe they don't get there then. Like, how many of these people are not homeless because they had $12 too little to pay their rent and ended up on the street. They had mental problems. They have drug problems. Like, the reason that these homeless people are so unsightly is because, like, and I also like to address the idea that these people are getting services in some way, like the rest of us, that we're paying for this. Like, do you know what they get their meth kits in? I might have talked about this on the podcast before. On our stoop, every so often there'd be a little dog shit bag. And we'd go, fucking somebody left their dog shit on our stoop again. And eventually it was like, there's a lot of dog shit on our stoop. It's odd that they just keep leaving it here of all places. Yeah. Well, no, they give you your meth kits in dog shit bags at these places. Like, it's not like they like open a case up and it's got a glass pipe in it, or you like go into a store and you're like, I like the one with the red swirls. Like, you get a dog shit bag that they hand you so you can do your drugs cleanly.
Yeah.
Like, this is not costing us a lot of money. Like, this is not like these places. And by the way, these are like heavily privately funded places. Like, the argument doesn't even, these are not Toronto set up fucking, this is not the Toronto city fucking, like, these are churches that do some of these things. Like, there are people who pay for these things because they think they're a good idea that donate to these things. And the resources are coming out in a dog shit bag for them. Like, this is not, there's a comedian friend of ours that sometimes have to use some of these resources. We ran into him yesterday. He got a literal sandwich that was a piece of cheese with 2 pieces of bread. They're not giving these people fucking roast beef dinner every night.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of bullshit. Even we like, if they're so good, Integrity TO, you use the services. You go have dinner at the fucking church or the mission or the YMCA. Why don't you just go take advantage of it if you're so upset that your taxpayer dollars go to that? Oh, you don't want to because it's indignant and it's shitty. So what you're saying is we can't afford to pay for indignant and shitty for other human beings. And by the way, I guarantee you this guy calls himself a Christian. I promise you. Because that's what all these conservatives had to do. They all had to hide behind Christian values so that they could have their shitty fucking ideas that we already defeated. Because they saw that the Muslims and whatever did it. And we went, well, why are Muslims allowed to do that? Well, they're Muslims, so we let them. So now, they're Christians, so we let them. Be inhuman to people. They're not Christians. None of these people are Christians. They're the least. I am so much more a Christian than most of these people. And I don't have any belief in a God. Like, I don't think there's anyone watching, and I treat these people 100 times better than these people do. You're full of shit Christians. Like, because you would never, as a Christian, go film human suffering and use it for your own furthering.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't. You just wouldn't. So I'm tired of them all being pretend Christians. Just say what you are. You are, and I don't care if you're a Proud Boy. I'm not the guy. I don't care about any. You can be a Western chauvinist. You could be a white nationalist. I'm not going to just go, oh, you're an ism. I don't care about your isms. You can be a racist. You can be a homophobe. If you presented an argument that worked, I'd follow you, but you haven't. You have pointed a camera at people suffering and went, that makes me right. You've proven nothing, man. You've proven nothing. Your ideas don't work. They've proven not to work. And you are taking a once in a, not even lifetime. COVID isn't a once in a lifetime event. It's a once in a 5,000 years event happened. And you're going, oh, it's liberal drug policy's fault. No, it's not. Mm-hmm. No, it's not. Idle hands are the devil's playground. That's what COVID was. A lot of people got into a lot of bad things. We lost people. And not just to drugs. We lost them mentally. If you were a fist bump guy, you're just gone now.
Yeah.
You know, if you were just an introvert, well, what a great reason to never leave your fucking house again. I have a goth night here. Melissa, I love you if you watch this, but you haven't come to one of them. She's like an old school goth from this neighborhood. But Mel is a person that just doesn't leave as much anymore. No. And she's gotten older, and like, I get that comes with part of the territory too. But like, she was a person that maybe didn't want to leave as much before COVID, so COVID was a great excuse to stop leaving, and that habit compounds itself. How many people weighed a little bit too much going into COVID and left COVID weighing far too much?
Yeah, I was 160 pounds before COVID.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
you remember we weren't that close back then, paper. So you have no proof.
Yeah. It's like COVID developed bad habits. Some of those bad habits were worse than others, but regardless, it affected society and continues to affect society. Everything we know about any of these, like when you look at the crack epidemic, if you want to know what ended the crack epidemic, it was not Rudolph Giuliani and broken window theory. It was Roe versus Wade. Abortion ended the crack epidemic. If you look at when the crime rates plummeted in the early 90s, they correlate directly 18 years after Roe versus Wade was passed. Because what is the shittiest thing on the planet? A bored 18-year-old boy. Mm-hmm. A bored 18-year-old boy is a criminal 6 out of 10 times. Speaking from experience. I was a piece of shit problem at that age. So imagine now all these parents who shouldn't have had kids, didn't stay together, whoever had abortions. Imagine all those abortions are alive now in 1992 when Bill Clinton becomes president. The drug problem doesn't stop. It just keeps going. COVID was that. So I would love to hear from what are we at roughly here?
Oh, yeah, we're at 57 minutes. We're right at, yeah.
I would love to hear from Integrity TO. What's the plan next? And with an open mind, I don't care if it's conservative. I don't care. You can never get me as that guy. You will never get me as that guy. I've spent the last 12 years being called a conservative myself because I didn't agree with a lot of liberal bullshit. I'm not the guy that reflexively joins the other team. You're just kind of a scumbag, dude. It's a shitty thing to do. Like, you could have handed those people a fucking sandwich when you did it. Like, I promise you, if I make content with them, there's a basket of socks right over there from a sock drive we did last week. With Ed the Sock, by the way. Do you know Ed the Sock? I do, because I'm a good person. If you're Jewish, you might know him. But I would just like to see do some actual work. Don't just show up to my corner. And I will say my corner. I have lived on this block for a long time now. And by the way, there are lots of times of the day I can go film that same corner and there's not a fucking thing going on. There are times where, by the way, you know what the real problem is? Future Nightclub. Do you want to shut down Future Nightclub because there's also violence and chaos that comes from that to my neighborhood? I promise you I've felt a lot more problems from Future Nightclub than I have from any of the safe injection sites. Nobody from the safe injection sites punched my girlfriend. If someone from Future Nightclub did, I'm not going to go start rallying and have them shut down. Yeah, they're a problem. It's a nightclub. We understand that. That's what it is. Those are safe injection sites. They have to go somewhere. This whole area has been this forever. This idea that he goes, there was one post he had where he was like, this is what it looked like in 2010. And it's like, no, it didn't. No, it didn't. You're either new or lying. That's it. Because it didn't look like that. That corner has been that corner as long as I have lived in Toronto, which is now going on 20 years. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's nice. I wish there was no drug addicts on the street. Of fucking course I do. But again, let me finish on the this idea that they all get resources beyond, because when he says that, what he means is the clean injection sites, the whatever. Yeah, but let's talk about resources for a second. Those people aren't accessing resources. That's why they're there. Those people don't sleep in the shelter. They can't. Those people you see at night, they're not shelter people. Like, the reason you see more drug addicts on the street during the day, or homeless people on the street, I should be more clear about, on the day, is because the shelters kick them out during the day. They have to go outside, right? So the people you see at night, those people don't use shelters. They're not accessing those things. There's a guy, Robert, who I know, is Robert Thomas Payne. He's a poet and at this point, a near lifetime fucking homeless guy. The CBC did a documentary on this guy 15 years ago, and he had already been homeless on the street 15 years. Like, this guy's going on probably close to 50 years on the street at this point. Robert, recently, he had some fresh clothes about a month and a half ago, and we were talking to somebody at the LCBO. You know, people in this neighborhood know Robert. He's very friendly, doesn't beg, doesn't ask for money. If you get into a conversation with him, he'll go, oh, I could really use a beer, or I could really whatever. He'll get you on that. But, like, he's never begging. He's never a problem. He's never screaming. Yeah. When he sleeps, he does make horrifying noises. I don't, okay. Robert, I love you, but God damn it, man. When you sleep, there are some night terrors going on that are pretty scary.
Not snoring. It's like not apnea.
No, it's more of a like, yeah. It's like, it is crazy because I never thought I'd see a gentleman sleep this much. Like, I see Robert. I know, I can tell it's Robert from around the corner because I know his sleeping posture. Like, the way that Kennedy knows how I sleep, I know how Robert sleeps. It's very weird, but he got his checks recently. He hadn't had access to his checks, and Robert's put together. Like, Robert can talk. He doesn't scream. He doesn't whatever. Of any of these guys, he's the one that you would assume had the ability to go pick up a Social Security, ODSB, whatever it happens to be, go pick up a check and be able to use it. He hadn't had them in months. So if Robert's not getting them in months, the lady with the shit in her pants screaming about the devil, the fucking guy fentanyl crippled all the way over into himself, these people aren't taking these services. They're not getting these services. Like, the person that you're talking about lives in a home. You don't see that poor person. Like, the poor person that they're actually complaining about is the one that you live next to who just barely gets by because his ODSB check, whatever, maybe he's behind on rent, but he hasn't been evicted, he hasn't been whatever. That's the person they're complaining about. The person on the street is getting no services at all. It's just a lie. They're getting nothing. The only way they affect us is the same way you're displaying to the world. The only way that those people harm us, and by the way, here's why you want free drug services, why you want clean injection sites, is because are they going to stop doing the drugs if you stop those things? Or are they going to start robbing you for your shit so they can afford it from the street? Mm-hmm. You're safer because they have those places. Because those places become your backyard real quickly. And that's how Americans have to deal with it. The reason Americans don't feel comfort, the reason that we think these things about Detroit and Chicago and whatever, is because those people have to go take take the thing off your barbecue to go they got to take the water jugs out of your garage because they're worth $8. They got to go whatever. Here, they don't have to do that to you because they get to go get their poison for free. Can we let them have their poison for free? Do we have to have them go out and find a means to get their poison? If you have a solution to get them off the poison, sit right the fuck here and discuss it with me. I would love to. I would love to hear it. But until then, let's maybe not complain that we afford them the ability to kill themselves without robbing you. How's that? Good night.